The Hate You Give, directed by George Tillman Jr., is based upon the book of the same name written by Angie Thomas, and it stars Amanda Sternberg, Russell Hornsby, Common, Regina Hall, and Issa Rae. This film tells the story of a 16-year-old girl called Starr, an African-American girl who grows up in the inner city and whose parents send her to a school in a white area so that she can get a better education. And in the film, we see the conflict that Starr suffers. In terms of, she says that there's two versions of Starr. There's Starr version number one, who lives in the inner city and who makes sure that she doesn't use any of the words that her white peers would use when she's amongst them. And then there's Starr version number two, who when she's amongst her white peers in her school, she makes sure that she doesn't incite any type of stereotype or use any type of vernacular that her black peers would. And we see the film progress, and we see that she goes to a house party and she meets one of her old school friends, Khalil. Khalil takes her home, and they are subsequently stopped by the police. And tragically, Khalil is shot dead by a police officer who mistakes his comb for a gun. And the film explores Starr finding her voice to testify against the cop and ensure that justice is done. What I love about this film is the fact that it doesn't fall into any type of cliche. It's not the type of story that, okay, after we see her friend get killed, that she tries to get a scholarship to get her family out of the ghetto, or she uses sport or music or anything like that to try and get her family out of this type of life. It takes a different slant. We see Starr, we see that the dilemma that she faces living in the area that she's in, and the issues that face her as a black woman in her community, and also how this will have an impact when she's amongst her white peers, when she's in the school that she's in. This film is beautifully written and beautifully directed. Standout performances by Russell Hornsby and Amanda Sternberg. Amanda Sternberg, who was also a narrator in this film, was phenomenal in this film. She is very charismatic, very entertaining, and when it calls for tension, when it calls for emotion, she does it very well. And I don't like to predict Oscar nominations, but I honestly hope that she's nominated in some type of category because she gives a superb performance. Also, a standout performance from Russell Hornsby as the father. I thought he was phenomenal, and I think he represents every black father in America. The opening sequence is quite touching, and I think it's something that most black parents can relate to in terms of him teaching his young children in their infancy how to act when they are stopped by the police. And it was a very, very touching scene, and it was done beautifully. And him playing the backbone of the family, teaching his children how the system is set up to design to fail black people, and steering his daughter away from the wrong path onto the right one. I thought he just did very well. And he deserves the acclaim that he's getting. And I hope that he's also Oscar nominated as well. Also, Regina Hall. Regina Hall, versatile actress. I love Regina Hall. We remember her from the Scary Movie films. She was on top form playing the mother of Starr. And again, she acts as the voice of reason in this film also. Common is also in this film. Now, Common is a phenomenal artist. He won an Academy Award for the song Glory. Common, in my personal opinion, I find him to be a better musician than he is an actor. But he does give fine support in this film. Also, Issa Rae is on this film. She plays one of the civil rights attorneys in this film who's trying to protest and trying to get justice for Khalil, who was shot dead. On the whole, this film was just beautifully shot, and it does strike a chord in terms of innocent black people getting shot dead and how our blackness has been weaponized, etc. It just touches a lot of things. And there's also references to other black people that have been slain in the past, be it Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, Emmett Till. What was different about this film, and what I liked most about this film, was the exploration of the relationship between Starr and her friend Haley, played by Sabrina Carpenter. Now, Haley in this film is a girl that embraces black culture. But as the news about what happened to Starr's friend starts to spread amongst her white school, we see that certain discriminatory attitudes start to come out, and racial undertones start to come out, and we start to see what this girl actually thinks. And it makes for excellent acting between the two young leads. And there was one scene in particular where we see Starr give Haley a really wake-up call in terms of what it is like to be black and to be intimidated by the police. And I think it was beautifully shot. Also, the soundtrack to this film was also superb. The soundtrack acts as a narrative in the film, and there are some phenomenal hip-hop artists. Kendrick Lamar, Jadakiss. It's just a great soundtrack to a very good film, and the finale had everybody on tenterhooks. I went and saw this film during the half-term break, so there were a lot of school and college kids there who were watching this film, and they were just as engrossed, and they were shouting at the screen, and they were like gasping, and they were encouraged, they were entertained just as much as I was. It is that much of a gripping film, and the ending is very touching also. As a film, I can easily say up there with A Star Is Born, this has to be one of my favourite films of the year. It's something that flew under the radar, but again, as a film goer and as someone who likes to review films, that's what I like. I like to be pleasantly surprised, and I was very pleasantly surprised by this film also. And I hope it gets the recognition that it deserves and the nominations that it deserves, because it is that good of a film. And the pacing of this film was good also. It comes in at 2 hours, but it flows beautifully. And it doesn't drag on at all. So, I will give The Hate U Give a very strong 9 out of 10. One to watch, absolutely. That's my review. If you've seen The Hate U Give, leave your comments of what you thought about this film. If you've read the book, leave your comments of what you thought about the book also. Subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I shall see you on the next film review. Take care.